Are you into, is it taxidermy? What's it, taxidermy?
Taxidermy, yeah.
I mean, do you ever think about skinning your opponents?
Yeah, I'm not into taxidermy, but I absolutely view myself as hunting bad people, utilizing the civil justice system.
Welcome to this episode of Bourbon Approved, where we talk to people that have made it in law and life, and we do it over spirits. And some a little hot, some a little cold, but it stirs the conversation. And today we were very honored to have a very special guest in Genie Harrison.
Thank you.
And Genie does not drink. So we're gonna have Karina here, worked with Genie. She's gonna take it. She's a bourbon connoisseur, so you're gonna give us a yes and no. We're gonna talk some no's with you, and it's gonna be fucking fantastic.
I'll be honest.
And today we have our co-host, a regular co-host now. This is your fourth or fifth episode.
I'm so honored to be here.
So Charles Liu was the original guest of Bourbon Approved, and we were at The Firm here in downtown Los Angeles, which is his private whiskey bar.
Yeah.
And they have a cigarette machine and everything over there. Very proud of it.
Yeah, well, it's kind of a cigar machine, but you just kind of degraded it a little, but we'll go with
That's
cigarette.
okay. I don't know the difference. I don't like cigars.
No?
No.
You look like a
There
cigar
was
guy.
you drink whiskey, you like cigars.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate it. Do you
I don't
do
like
cigars?
No, no smoking either.
No.
Never got into
I'm
it.
not a big cigar guy, but
Yeah.
it seems to go well with whiskey.
So
I did
Yeah.
smoke and I did drink.
Right.
So I've done those things.
we can talk about it then.
I know. You can ask all the questions you want.
So we're just going to run down just the resume before we get to the first one. So I picked a Whistle Pig 15, which we first hijacked from Jack Newton, who was a guest here, who was the founder, CEO of Clio, which does legal tech. We're going to talk about damages, Genie. So he gifted us this bottle. And the reason I like this 15 for Genie is because she graduated high school at 15.
Wow.
A lot of people don't know that. From College Station, graduated at 15, spent some time in Chicago. Didn't really like it too much. Illinois or Chicago? Chicago. But she's literally won every consumer trial lawyer award. She was just recently the Consumer Attorney of California Trial Lawyer of the Year, Consumer Advocate of the Year, which is the biggest one that you can. I've always looked at that one with much envy, but she just won.
Thank you.
So a very big deal, and changed a lot of how people are in the workplace, and we'll talk a lot about that today. But she was the president of our Consumer Attorneys of Los Angeles, which only 5 women in 72 years, Genie? What's that?
Right. Not many. That's
Not
what
many.
that is.
So her law firm now has how many employees? They're all women right now?
Yeah.
4 attorneys.
Yep. 4 attorneys, a couple of paralegals, an intake specialist, and my wonderful assistant, Karina.
Assistant yet professional drinker here.
Yeah.
So Karina, why don't you go ahead and we'll do a cheers with everybody. Thank you for coming on to the show. Welcome to Bourbon Approved.
Cheers. Thank you for having
And we're
us.
going to learn about Genie Harrison from the beginning.
All right. There's more
To
than
the end.
you're gonna regret that.
I love it.
Bob, you pick this 15 for everybody, and then you find a story to fit.
You know what's
for
crazy
everybody.
is that 15 has a weird it talks to a lot of people.
It
because
does, yeah.
One guy, the reason he brought that off from Clio, he was 15 years in with Clio.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
It seems like it's
I
been
wouldn't have
here
guessed that.
Exactly. We had this whole
That's what we
conversation.
said, yeah. But you find a 15 for everybody, so I think you're just trying
Well, it
to drink
depended. If
this.
she, graduated at 18, I would have taken your Macallan 18. Maybe Karina would have been happier or sadder. I don't know. Well, so what do you are you into the rye whiskeys, or what do you like this one?
Bourbons, yeah. The Whistle
There
Pig
you
is
go.
one of my favorites.
Nice.
So there we go. So we're 1 for 1 with Karina.
I picked the right person.
Yeah.
So they say everything's bigger in Texas.
Okay.
So are your settlements and verdicts.
Oh, thank you.
Congrats.
But the
Yeah.
one thing that and you'll talk about this, like you've actually promoted change,
Yeah.
like the firefighter case, et cetera. So educate some of our viewers and listeners, because a lot of people are like, oh, lawyers, you can make a lot of money doing it, but you've done change.
Yeah. Yeah. Change is what I'm into. And so all the way from back years and years ago when I worked to reform the Los Angeles City Fire Department, we've got actual systemic, substantial change, like day-to-day reforms that have been implemented that benefit, hundreds, if not thousands of people ultimately who will never know my name. And that's what makes me happy, is taking care of as many people as possible.
What was the fire department change, or what was the result of that? Because
Yeah.
I'm not
Oh, man.
familiar again.
So,
Crazy.
yeah, there was a lot of discrimination. It started, one of the big cases that I had was an African American firefighter who was fed dog food by his
I do
captain.
recall this,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
mhm.
I just didn't know this was you. So.
Yeah,
But now you know.
was
No, I know.
I.
Incredible. Yeah.
I'm the
wow.
culprit.
I'm
Wow.
always kind of nervous around Genie.
I'm
Oh,
getting
yeah.
nervous.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm getting a little nervous.
Very
Yeah.
intimidating.
Yeah.
Makes
You know
me
what's
feel
funny?
better
So
that
I was
we're
at
all
a kids'
nervous.
party the other day on the weekend, and one of the moms, she was telling me she's a lawyer and she worked for LA County. We were talking about stuff. She's like, I'm in the employment division. I was like, yeah. I was like, well, actually, like, I'm actually interviewing Jeannie Harrison. She's like, oh my God, you're interviewing Jeannie Harrison? She's like, I'm not gonna fangirl. She's like, but I was on the other side of that. She's like, when I saw this case, she's like, what the fuck are you guys doing? But she was a lawyer for LA County on one of the lawyers.
One of the cases
Wow.
that I had, yeah.
Crazy.
I ended up doing a lot of fire department cases and, you know, a number of trials, and there were quite a few reforms, and nothing's perfect, but we got the ball rolling. And I tell you though, I will never forget, I actually did a reenactment. It was a site inspection in the Tenny Pierce case. We went to Fire Station 5, and I said, I want to see exactly where it happened, and I want Tenny to reenact it for me and show me how it happened. And so we were at the fire station, and the kitchen is small. It's not bigger.
Like a kitchenette.
It's not bigger than this area. And not that this is a small area, but I would have thought that at a fire station,
Yeah.
kitchen area is huge,
Yeah.
right? And it was relatively small. And Tenny Pierce is a very large man, very large and very tall. And when I realized that there were 10 very large men, maybe a dozen in that small room, and he showed me where he went to go pick up a specially prepared plate that they had left for him that never happens that way.
Wow.
And he picked it up and then walked and asked to, excuse me, sir, excuse me, sir, excuse me, sir. And they let him walk and go sit down at a table and eat spaghetti made with dog food. I said, everybody knew what the fuck was going on. And that is, to the black man in the room, that is as offensive as it gets to me. Then he tried going back to work many times, 3 times, and people were messing with his PPEs, his personal protective equipment, and
Wow.
people didn't realize this was a very serious retaliation case after he reported that he felt targeted because of his race. So that I just went on a little monologue about the case. You got me going on
No,
it.
but this a lot of listeners and
Yeah.
viewers like to hear this kind of stuff. And that was station number 5.
Yeah.
They call it something. I mean, there's some, not stations, but they call it something else.
Firehouse.
Not house. There's like a code. I forget what it is, but whatever.
I don't know.
I know the trucks are called ladders, right?
Really?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
thought they're called
Full of
yeah.
information. This
Yeah.
time. Speaking of information, why don't you
There's a
pull us? Why don't you pull us one of yours then? Tough
Don't we
guy.
pull one? All right, let's see. We'll start with this Nikka coffee grain. You familiar with this?
Karina's kind of got very
Oh,
excited
nice.
about this one.
Hey, I got a drink plate.
Yeah, we're
we don't-
very
it doesn't
paced
sit stale
on this.
around.
Yeah.
We only have 45 minutes to an hour.
This is
for anybody to
rapid
vote.
consumption right here.
So Jeannie also does a show called She Said That.
okay.
She said what?
She said
She
what?
said what?
That.
The
That's
She
what I
said what show? That's what you said.
With Lucy Beer. That's what I said.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's a
Fun.
new show, and they're gonna talk a lot about this kind of shit. How you pulled out Nikka coffee, and
Okay.
now you can tell a story.
Okay. Well,
Go ahead, go.
it's an amazing Japanese whiskey.
But does it really have coffee in it?
Interesting question. So everybody who
She says
hears
no.
this thinks, and she would be correct.
Yeah.
It does not have coffee. It's actually called coffee on account of very unique stills used to create the whiskey. So it is not a coffee product. There is no coffee used in the
Now I'm gonna be
distilling.
disappointed.
There's no filtering with coffee. There's nothing to do with coffee. But you will notice a very, very clean, very sharp, very distilled down flavors common to Japanese whiskeys, where the distiller will tell you you should expect to taste this and this and this, and you will pretty much taste everything they say.
And I
So-
think if you tell them they're gonna taste it, they'll eventually taste it.
Well, that too. There is some subconscious programming
All
in
right.
there,
Well,
but
that's getting for
incredible
it.
product.
Yours. Oh. Yeah. So, College Station.
I was born in College Station.
So what was it like to get out of, Texas? Well, fail at Chicago, which, the big windy city. And then come to Los Angeles. I mean, that's completely different from College Station.
Right. So I was born in College Station, and then my dad was going to Texas A&M because he was going to vet school. Then we moved to Nacogdoches, which is on the border of Texas and Louisiana. And that's where he had his small animal veterinary practice in a small town in East Texas with poor people. So it did not turn out to be the best business model.
What classifies small animal?
Like a ferret, a beaver, raccoon.
Yeah, I mean,
that's typical pets where you're from. Yeah.
I mean, have you ever been to Louisiana? Especially southeast Louisiana.
I love it. Yeah, I have friends a lot. I visit the Duck Dynasty family there.
But
you did?
But did you used to hop over from Texas to Louisiana to go? I mean, we used to send in Pennsylvania to West Virginia to go get alcohol and things. A lot easier.
Yeah. Well, we hopped over and hung out with the Cajuns and went on the airboats and did a lot of hunting. And so it was a very...
You got to pull some old photos of you doing these things. You have to have them.
Oh, I do. Yeah.
Interesting.
So small animals like cats and dogs or ferrets and beavers.
Still get back to
I do. I love animals. I'm a huge
muskrats. We had muskrats. Or cricks. I said it's a creek.
I'm still thinking that's not what you meant.
Yeah, no, I mean for sure. But they also he had to branch out into larger and medium-sized animals as well.
Which I'm not even asked what those are because I'll be ridiculed by Bob. So we'll just leave it.
Horses, all kinds of things. And
are you into, is it taxidermy? What's it, taxidermy?
Taxidermy, yeah.
I mean, do you ever think about skinning your opponents? And
well, that's
there's
different.
There's got to be a few of them that are like, these are fun.
I'm not into
Harvey Weinstein stuff.
Yeah, I'm not into taxidermy, but I absolutely view myself as hunting bad people, utilizing the civil justice system. I absolutely think of myself.
Because you had a lot of,
I
think for those, they would be called Jane Does. Is that how they would do it for the victims? But anyway, telling them, bringing down an industry giant, because we see it, in our law, we talk about this all the time, and even in our trial lawyer circles, there's just rampant crooks and creeks, and a lot of people just don't say shit.
Oh, I can't wait to talk about that.
Let's go.
Yeah.
This is just your third whiskey in, but we can go. We're up two. I'm just very interested in because you could take down the industry giant in Hollywood, the unspeakable things. Everybody knew, right? Everybody had to know. The same thing we saw with Girardi and some of these other folks. They knew. People just didn't say anything.
Yeah, I think there are definitely people, obviously, who knew about Girardi, right? All I knew about Tom Girardi was that people looked up to him, people were scared of him, and when I met him, he only ever talked to my boobs.
Yep, that's very Tom Girardi.
That's it.
Wow.
That's the only way he looked at me, was like that.
He wouldn't even, anybody else wouldn't even acknowledge you. He would just look right at that. And it was the first
no, literally.
red flag. Yep.
He would stand right in front of me and just talk to my boobs and say, "Oh, hi, how are you?" And so I thought, you know what? I don't need to have another conversation
So
with
I don't
this
know if
jerk.
you knew this, but the one time I sued Tom Girardi for fees, and I've been calling him a crook for a long time. The attorney, we had to go in arbitration, and there was a prior client that had to be represented by counsel. It was an entertainment case, and then Girardi, who was part of the fee dispute. But Gary Raskin was the person that represented.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Not Girardi, but the stories we were telling. We were uncovering these things. This is like 2008 or 9.
Oh my God.
There was like the most crooked shit ever, and I was like, oh my God, like this.
I gotta call Gary and talk to him about that because I haven't talked to him about that.
Oh man, we haven't seen since that arbitration. I think I've physically seen him maybe once or twice after, but we were laughing our ass off. Like he's just admitting to like the most unethical shit ever during an arbitration.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
dialing it back.
We're talking about my first husband.
Now she's married to the most wonderful man ever, James, who helped develop Damages Genie, which I do want to get to. Let's not forget about the legal tech stuff with her, but okay.
Yeah.
Continue.
Yeah. But Gary's still a very good friend. We met in law school. So,
And you got married post law school?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then
we just did a show, you weren't on it, but it was a couple that met in law school and been married for a long time. I was like, I actually know more lawyers that met in law school, got married, it didn't work.
Yeah.
It did.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, we were young.
Yeah.
You know, we figured ourselves out during that marriage, and now he's with somebody who really suits him, and I'm with somebody who suits me. So, and we're still friends.
That's right. Well, I hope you and
the way
Jamie
it
are still
should be.
friends.
I love my husband.
Well, he's sitting
So-
offset, so I hope you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. I better not say otherwise.
You probably shot a few guns in Texas, though.
I shot a
A lot
lot.
of guns.
I hunted my own dinner when I was
Really?
a kid.
Wow.
Yeah, you probably did too, did you?
I wasn't a very efficient hunter, actually.
Well,
When you were
I
in
was
Scotland,
I was much
like, what's it like growing up in Scotland?
growing up in Scotland was
Is it
very
rural or what's it like?
very outdoorsy. I think
Just a
the
lot of
easiest
picking up
way
your kilt, these types of things.
there's a lot
bagpipes.
of exposures under your kilt. But the most interesting thing about it, or one of the interesting things I tell people, is you really could be in a major metropolitan city, Glasgow or Edinburgh, and drive 30 miles and you will see nothing but sheep. So you really can go from a major city or major castle at Edinburgh or the walk.
Well, Nogagales had to be like that too. Very rural.
Yeah, Nacogdoches.
Nacogdoches. Nacogdoches.
Yeah,
Tomato,
it
tomato.
was.
Yeah.
It was rural, and it was in the middle of the Davy Crockett National Forest, and
Wow.
there are a lot of poisonous snakes.
Really?
Yeah.
What kind of snakes?
All kinds of them.
Really?
Cottonmouths
Oh, wow.
and rattlers and
Scaring the shit out of me.
copperheads and
We had
have no desire
poisonous
to do
snakes
this.
in Scotland.
You have trouser snakes. That's it.
Yes.
That's all you have in Scotland.
That is awful, Bob. How's that whiskey?
I'm great.
You're good?
We're,
All right,
just going a
perfect.
little, we're going to get through two more with you.
Yeah, you got to pick up the pace a little bit.
So we're going to ask a question at the end. You have to grade yours.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, what do you think of that one? Thumbs up or down,
Thumbs
sideways?
up, that's an
Okay,
obvious,
good,
yeah.
Wow.
good.
Love it.
Good.
And you approve, obviously.
absolutely.
Good,
Are
good,
you
good.
kidding?
So no, I didn't. I've shot a lot, but I haven't hunted. I was actually vegetarian for quite a few years. I was vegan for quite a few years, and I kind of went vegetarian because I started losing too much weight. So,
I became vegetarian because I had to hunt my own dinner.
That's
Did you
funny. So
really?
Grace and
Wow.
Goody, we were on the last episode with was the same thing. So
Really?
He grew up as a hunter in Wyoming,
and he's
and
vegetarian.
he's vegan now.
Wow.
Oh, he's vegan now.
vegan,
Wow. Yeah.
He and his wife are both vegan.
I was vegetarian for a long time and then decided to start eating fish. And then,
That's
that
kind of where
thing.
I'm at now.
Yeah.
So much
Yeah.
healthier.
Yeah.
It's
My
so hard to
doctor's
find.
happy.
Your doctor's
Yeah, my doctor's very impressed with me.
Well, you gotta stop drinking booze, and he'll be like,
Yeah, well,
elated with you.
he said to keep doing exactly what I'm doing.
Oh,
and
that's
I,
great.
Yeah, and I had just drank the night before, so I was like, well, doctor's
So
orders.
I mentor a few people here and there. And I say,
Yeah.
guys, when you get your
Just a few.
when you get your blood test for your physical, don't drink the night before. Don't schedule it on a Monday. Do it like a Wednesday when you aren't drinking.
That's
But
good
I
idea.
didn't take my own advice because I was just very curious to see what my blood panels would be
Yeah.
the day after having like a normal Friday night. So I had a Friday on a Monday.
Right.
I had the test on a Tuesday. They were perfect. I could do the same thing. with the doctor.
Really?
I was like, wait, can you check the liver panel again? Like, looks good to me.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, right.
I'm good to go.
I just wanted to know. I was very curious.
yeah, no, I had the exact same results. So the doctor said, keep doing what you're doing.
Okay.
So here we are, Bob.
So you've had so much. You have to be inundated right now with people that want you to take on their case.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
develop a lot of potential business.
So, but how you can't? You have to reach a point where you just can't take on that type of volume, even if they're good cases. Like, what is
No.
the future going to be for Genie Harris?
Well, I mean, I refer out a lot of cases. And so I really pick the ones that suit me and suit the firm. And so I'm very specific about my business model. And I think, the future is a very interesting question because that's part of what I'm thinking a lot about right now is the future. So I really enjoy going after bad people. I fucking love
About
it.
hunting bad people.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like this is an Ice-T movie.
Yeah, I love
It's,
it.
I can't help it. It's the way I am.
Well, I don't know if you
And
know this,
so-
Charles, but I mean, she actually goes and fights for our lobbyists and consumer groups up in Sacramento.
Oh, that's
and above to
incredible.
like.
But that's a
the leadership
long
stuff.
conversation I'd love to have,
Yeah.
but probably off camera. Yeah,
So, I mean, thank you.
yeah.
And I love doing that.
But what type of cases
What else am I going
what's
to
your
be
what's
doing?
your wheelhouse? What's your wheelhouse? I want to know what you're going to be doing? What are your
Right.
aspirations?
I mean, so my wheelhouse is I love representing, especially people who have been victimized by straight up abuse of power, when a bad person has abused their power and taken advantage of someone. And so that really gets me going. And a lot of those cases are sexual harassment cases because of, just because of my history. And I think oftentimes women who have been sexually harassed feel comfortable speaking to women about that. And I know that we understand, we in my firm and we as women who've been through that, understand the experience in ways that at least my clients tell me that when they've spoken with male attorneys, that they didn't feel like the male attorney understood. And so even, for example, the case where I represented Sandeep Ray Hall, who was Harvey Weinstein's personal assistant, she spoke with a number of male attorneys before she got to me.
Wow.
And they didn't think she had a case.
Wow.
And
Isn't it mind-blowing to you?
no, kind of yes, kind of no, because she wasn't able to articulate everything that happened to her because of the trauma, right? She couldn't say it out loud, and it took years before, even with me, she could access the entire story and tell the entire story.
So
And that's a consequence of the trauma.
Were you just more patient than those male attorneys had been and sitting and listening through her process and her explanation, her articulation?
Maybe, but also I could just tell.
Okay.
I
So you
could
knew
just
there was
tell.
something there regardless of her
Oh,
ability to articulate it.
And do you feel like, so we'll talk about Damages Genie and what you and James kind of built together and the app. Do you think it helps victims be able to tell their stories?
For sure.
Really?
For
Can you
sure
walk-
it
Can you
does.
just walk us through for people who are not familiar with the product and kind of helps use?
Yeah, so Damages Genie is
Beautiful name, by the way.
Yeah, it's great. It's so good.
Thank you.
It's so good.
So it's an app for our clients to use to input what they're going through,
Wow.
their emotional distress on a daily basis from the trauma that they've been through, whether it's a car accident or whether,
Wow.
Car
it's sexual
crash.
car crash. I'm gonna edit that. Whether it's a car crash.
Wait, we can't say accident?
Bro, in our firm, if you say accident, it's like immediate reprimand. Not a car accident.
okay.
because you're
I just got
messaging a
written
truck.
up.
I
just
didn't
got
know.
written up.
I didn't know
HR.
this either. So
Yeah.
we're
Oh man, actually Grayson would be very upset. if
Car
I
I'm
said
crash.
happy that
immediate.
I took the hit for you.
Okay, I'm glad you did also.
There are no accidents, crash. Okay, whatever.
Car crash.
Yeah.
So whether it's a car crash or whether it's sexual harassment or wrongful termination, the clients go through a lot. They have really deep experiences, usually on the daily, as a result of it. And so this is an app that helps them input the information about what they're going through, and it organizes,
Wow.
helps them organize the information in a way that we as trial lawyers can really use that all the
Wow.
way from the intake to the trial. And it's, I created it from the special verdict form backwards, basically from trial backwards to the intake, to make sure that the client is inputting information that we can use as their attorney to help tell their story, right? Because clients don't enjoy, I think a lot of us don't enjoy, many of us don't enjoy journaling. We tell
Yeah.
clients all the time, write everything down, tell us what's going on. And it's very difficult, I think, for people to do, especially trauma victims, because you're asking them to confront what they're going through and write it down, which is a very confrontational and revealing, personally revealing experience for people. And instead, now they can use their phone and they can just input what's going on.
And so yours is also shielded by attorney-client
Attorney-client privilege.
Unless you choose to waive it.
Right. There's a lot on that, on the attorney back end, because there's, a website and it organizes the client's information as it comes in per case for the attorney. And of course, it's all protected and, all of that kind of stuff. So you, Bob, would have your own account, your own firm's account. And you would set up all your cases by your client name, and then your client would have a login and they would download the app and input the information. The information.
Pictures,
Yeah, it's
like all kind of
fantastic.
storytelling.
Yeah, it's all storytelling and it's date-based, and word searchable and all of that kind of stuff for the attorney. So it's incredibly useful.
And you use it you sync it with your case management platform too. See, it's beautiful.
Exactly. So I was just looking at some entries from a new client earlier today, and my clients really appreciate it because I'm able to tell them I have an app that's going to. Oh, Karina's like, don't forget me.
I like this one a lot, Karina. I don't think you ever had this, and I'll talk about what it is, but this is cool.
So it's probably therapeutic. I'm sure
it
there's a therapeutic element.
And clients often tell me that they feel like this is them taking care of themselves, that it's important to them to interact with it on a daily basis. We send push notifications every day, even to watches and that sort of thing. So it says, how are you feeling? How are you doing today? So
Is that automated too?
It's all automated.
Cool. How many firms employ this technology now?
So right now, I think there may be 3 firms that are using it.
She isn't even, because she's so busy being a child lawyer and advocate, that we had this discussion. I was like, you got to get this out to the marketplace.
Great.
I don't go out and sell it. I've got other things to do, right? And so it's really I'm really passionate about it. Because I think that is an area where we can do a much better job as attorneys. And then also, it lets our clients know that we actually care about what they're going through on a daily basis.
The number one complaint with the attorney or with clients and their attorneys are communication.
Yeah.
I'm talking, they're not getting back to me. I've heard them in weeks or days.
Yeah.
There's an automated, like, how are you feeling today? What are you going through? And they could just do those prompts and push it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's some cool stuff.
They can upload photos. They can, all kinds of things. They can dictate. They can,
Is there an
type.
immediate chat or some kind of immediate communication, or is that still?
No, it's not. It's not a chat function.
Okay.
No. So
I guess because you wouldn't want the you to become a witness if you're chatting with them. If you do want it to be discoverable at some point, then you become a witness if you're chatting with them.
If you chatted, for example, with you, they would that would still be attorney-client privilege.
It would be, but if you if you want to use it as a damage, if you want to produce the journal, say it's once like this stuff is so good, and you have the permission of the client, you produce it and waive the attorney-client privilege and use it as like a storytelling.
I see what you're saying.
But but you could choose not to or not.
Right.
Sure.
You can also just use the information and respond to discovery requests and help create a chronology and help prep your client for depo.
I'm just curious because we've found ourselves in a kind of interesting situation in the last couple of years where, and I'm sure you've found this, and I know Bob also, but where you're almost acting as a therapist and a counselor. And again, I'm sure you've obviously got these prodigious, massive results and events. So, but I'm curious if does that give the client an extra ability to, or the extra opportunity to communicate with you rather than just a standard email and phone, or just it doesn't? So it's just a therapy of.
But I think you have the file buying platform too, because you can text message that there's a way to SMS your clients too and have the chat feature
through that, or
through a different case management platform.
Got it.
But what happens is the entries that the client makes go into my case management system, and I'm able to see everything that they're inputting on a daily basis. And then, for example, just before I came over here, I emailed a client who had input some information and communicated with them about that and said we're going to have a follow-up call. And so I think it's incredibly helpful. And there are things like, this one stands out. This is a great example, is that a client who had been wrongfully terminated in retaliation for some of her whistleblowing input a notation about going to the mailbox and picking up her mortgage statement. And it was the first mortgage statement that she received after she had been fired.
Wow.
And she couldn't function after that because she didn't know how she was going to be able to pay her mortgage.
Wow.
And then she talked about not being able to sleep that night.
Wow.
And the crashing weight of her reality financially that was represented by receiving that mortgage statement, right, for the month. Now that is something that our clients go through, right, on a monthly basis, but we don't hear about.
Yeah.
And they probably forget about a year or two later for trial when you're having that prep. But wow, this is good.
Bob, after a car crash or a wrongful termination, what happens is, our clients, it's like pick yourself up by the bootstraps and move on as quickly as you can. That's what people try to do.
Sure.
And so a lot of this is water under the bridge. but not, because they can't, they just suppress it or let it go or whatever. And these details, can you imagine being able to tell a jury about those details?
So, I mean, your details are all, you don't have, like we have surgeries and stuff that we do and spine surgeries. Yours are all emotional
Right.
damages. So this storytelling is like paramount to your success.
Exactly.
So this bourbon, before we get any further, so the reason I like Horse Soldier, which I want Karina's opinion on, is because I know you've never had this before, because it's a little obscure. This is a female distiller, Elizabeth Pritchard. So there's a lot of female that are coming into this space, and he is a good last one for everybody. But some of the best noses in the industry, and she formulated this, but it came from a lot of veterans that were Green Berets after 9/11 that they called them horse soldiers on to Afghanistan, and they created this bourbon. So I don't know if you've ever had this one.
I haven't. No, I'm excited though.
Cheers. Salute. Cheers.
I'm impressed with the bottle. So
It's very cool. They have many different ones. She sent me a bunch of these. We just made friends on Instagram randomly, and she sent these. It's very
lovely,
good.
Yeah, that's really
the
nice.
nose is a little deceiving, but it's really very layered.
It's very good.
It's great.
And so you're in Sacramento. Can I ask you your opinion on non-attorney ownership of law
Oh my
firms?
God, how long do you
yeah.
have?
Can you give me the 1 minute? I'm just very curious.
She was
about
in the
this.
sandbox. She's the one that was, there for this whole conversation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I know
I
the
was-
abbreviated version, but I'm just interested from, we have a private equity fund, so we're starting to see so much activity on the finance Wall Street looking at this, and they're obviously saying these are incredible, high EBITDA, high margin businesses. So I see this as like the practice of law was the last bastion, the last holdout against Wall Street, and I think it's falling. I think the walls are falling. I'd just love to hear your opinion.
It's just, I'm going to wind this for another 45 minutes.
Here
in the
we
show.
go.
Just 1 minute. Yeah,
There's not 1 minute. There's too many minutes.
hyper-abbreviated
'cause you're-
version.
very interesting. Because
I didn't even
of where
tell you that. Look at this. You're just on top of it.
Wow, because of where you sit, right? And it's definitely one of the last bastions. Yes, as well, this, practicing law and doing this kind of, doing any, victim-oriented work really it brings a lot of responsibility, to take care of the human being, right? Because these people are crushed. They are devastated as human beings. And so you can tell the amount of effort that I have put into thinking about and creating tech to focus on the harm to the individual and allow me to do a better, more efficient job as an actual attorney and counselor to be able to leverage what has gone on with my client and tell that story, right? Do I think that a person who is not a lawyer
Or a robot. Or a,
I mean, that's a whole different level. We're going
That's
to talk about
that's another
that.
combo.
A person who is not a lawyer is capable of being empathetic and taking care of people. In theory, yes, they are. However, the people and entities who are going to have real lawyers will be the people in power. The abusers, the corporations, the employers, they are going to have real lawyers. They are not going to have paraprofessionals representing them. And so they will have their real lawyers going against the paraprofessionals who, in this scenario, who are...
Or scenario.
Scenario.
But nobody says that.
Scenario, right?
I'm glad you
and
lightened that, by the way, because you're staring right through me, and I'm horrible.
I told you, this is why she's such a, if I remember a trial
that was a
years,
death stare. Yeah.
But I mean, this is like whenever.
Well, I didn't mean to. I'm
No,
just like...
I'm kidding.
well,
you're
I'm
so
a very
focused and
intense
you're
person.
so passionate. It's incredible. I
I'm
think
a
this
very
is
intense
But
person.
this is the
Yeah,
whole point. Is like,
yeah.
can a paraprofessional, can a corporation or a robot, can they do this?
Emulate that? No chance.
There's no chance.
No chance.
But the same thing
Not
with these
with your
the people that are
passion,
behind
no.
the corporations and the people that what these people power. They're the same persons that want ownership in the law firms on the other side.
But they're
Right.
just
Who the fuck thinks it's gonna
that's
happen?
strictly pecuniary, economically based. They're
Exactly.
sitting purely saying these are high margin businesses, and $100 will have an ROI of X dollars. So here's money.
Right.
But to hear you speak, obviously, there's no comparison. You can't emulate.
You can
that.
never. I mean,
Yeah.
you have the right to trial by jury, and I think
Yeah.
that has to always be paramount. If you do
My
that,
my concern is for the human beings, and when they see a commercial on TV that says, why hire a lawyer at 40% or a third when you can have a paraprofessional at 15% or whatever it is, then it's going to sound like a good idea to a lot of people. But in reality, what's going to happen is that their representation is going to be matched up against real lawyers every time. Okay? And those human beings are going to be at a disadvantage. And the responsibility that should be imposed on the corporation or the employer is going to be lessened as a result of having someone who doesn't have the same capacity as a lawyer on the other side. So I think about it in terms of the mismatch of power.
Wow.
But it doesn't
That's good.
necessarily
That's good.
have to mean
Hey,
a
pull out
mismatch.
this last one, man.
Does it? I mean, you
You
could
got
have
three.
one-
Come on.
I think it
You
will be a
think just
mismatch.
the
I'm ready.
natural result will be a mismatch?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Corporations and employers are still going to hire
I mean,
lawyers.
if you're working for a lower percentage,
Yeah.
you can't afford
They're
to
still
put too
gonna
many
hire
costs into the
lawyers
case because it
to
doesn't
represent them.
Sure.
So like when, Sandeep Rahal hires a paraprofessional to go up against Harvey Weinstein, the Weinstein Company and Harvey Weinstein are still going to be represented by lawyers with their full slate of creativity.
This is why lawyers now have to strongly embrace technology, in my opinion. You
I
have to
agree.
leverage and become more efficient. So, again, you didn't know these cool facts.
I didn't.
And so Genie was one of the first lawyers to use, might have been the first lawyer, to have iPads for juries. Their jurors had
Oh,
iPads.
that's
did.
incredible.
This was
Yeah.
Judge Linfield's department.
Yeah.
I mean, this was before the pandemic. This wasn't even in her write-up notes. These were just things that
How,
see when
how
I
long
drink, I
ago
think
was
about
this?
these things. I have a lot
This
of drinks.
was, I don't even know, maybe like 8 years ago or something
Wow.
like
This is
that.
this is longer than people feel
Yeah.
like this
Wow,
was.
yeah.
This should be a
Yeah.
new phenomenon. Hey, tell us about this and let's fill it up because I love this story.
Okay.
And nobody's done it a lot since then.
I know they should though.
They should do it.
Yeah.
Hopefully they've evolved.
So this is the Macallan Edition number 4. Couple interesting things about this this whiskey. Edition number 4, they did 6 editions based on the 6 pillars of the Macallan distillery, the new distillery. And Christine Campbell is the first ever female master whiskey maker for the Macallan, which is arguably the top Scotch in the world, and she is now the esteemed master whiskey maker. So I pulled this out in homage to you, and
Brilliant.
yeah, and it's an incredible whiskey, and I like to not tell people notes and what they should expect. Bob and I like this little trick.
I never get this right.
Yeah,
Knows.
where we want to hear your notes and what you get from the particular expression, rather.
Emails to do.
I think your emails will
think
be
you do.
improved. Your emails will be much more creative after this, I believe.
Just
Yeah.
read it a few times over.
Yeah, they'll
I
be
think
very
the label
good.
goes with her necklace too.
Look at
Yeah.
that.
Anyway, incredible female.
Did you ever notice that
master.
justice is also just ice?
Just ice? Yeah.
I usually do ice.
Is there a meaning?
You
Is there a
do?
secondary meaning?
No, like we're now the sponsor of the LA Kings. We do just ice it.
Just ice.
Just
Oh,
ice.
Ah,
Just
that's
ice.
right.
You're just a marketing animal.
He
No,
is, isn't he?
I just literally you sip enough spirits, you get some really creative ideas.
You do get creative, yeah. I'm really excited for you to try this proxy drinker.
Oh wait, we didn't already have this? I thought we
No.
already
This is
had
we've
it.
not poured. This
I
is the
lost
last
track.
drink, and we're gonna wrap it up after this because I've never. Oh my god, this smells totally different from what we've been doing.
So we're not going to influence anybody. We're just
Holy
going to
shit.
ask your opinion, your nose, your palate, what you're getting, what you feel, your emotions.
It's very stringent.
I don't even know that
It's
word.
got like some really strong floral notes.
Okay,
Wow.
Cherry.
that's it. That's good.
Holy
Woodsy.
shit. Vanilla and oak, right?
Vanilla and oak. You're always
Now they're
saying.
just pulling.
Yeah, and,
That's what I'm
and
joking. You're
caramel.
right, you're right 90% of the time.
90%.
That is super woodsy, a little peat note in there.
Okay.
Wow. I love love this. I'm glad she's on. You should be a regular.
That's what I was
Be a
thinking.
co-host on the show.
I have a good nose.
This is lovely. It's incredible.
This is
espresso.
different. It's very different from all those, but this is great.
What do you think? What's your thoughts?
Wood chips.
Well, that was yesterday.
That
which
was a
is-
callback.
Yeah.
I know how it feels in my belly. I like things that make me feel good.
Yeah.
You know, and
Well, you're gonna feel this.
All right,
You're
we'll
gonna
see.
be happy. You're gonna have a happy belly. I feel. Yeah.
it's very hard to have me not have a happy belly.
That's true.
I
You seem
happy
fairly
meals.
happy,
I'm a
yeah.
happy guy.
You know what makes me feel good in my tummy is churro cookies.
There you go.
Yeah.
We should do a churro. This is very good.
You should always pair chocolate.
We actually had one yesterday with the Harmony Collection, which is a rich cacao by the Roca family.
When
And
I
that's-
saw Rich Cacao, I thought it was a person. Rich Cacao. It's actually true. Well,
I think there is a rich cacao.
Rich Cacao from Macau. I
Yeah.
thought this is where he enveloped whatever. So.
But that pairs very well with chocolate. It was designed to pair with chocolate.
So Jeannie, we're gonna wrap this up, and I just want you to finish with.
soon?
I know, but we've been talking for almost an hour.
Have we really?
Yes, it's at least.
Not
I mean,
enough
we're
time.
about
Can
15
we-
minutes.
You're
55
just an
minutes.
Can we do
intriguing
a
interview.
two-parter?
We 100% can. We'll bring
Yeah,
it back.
I would
but,
love that.
I
I have a lot more
I'll do a liver
questions.
panel, and we'll test it.
Yeah.
I'm sure that we can come back for a second episode. Well, Karina will.
Yeah.
You'll bring
If I-
some spirits.
If I can just interject real quick, the difference between Genie, what I've noticed that makes her stand apart from everybody else is that there's this genuine, authentic approach to her. So when you're speaking to her, you feel
Oh, you feel it.
heard,
I agree.
but most importantly, you feel safe with your story, with your heart, and it's what
Or
you-
terrified.
So
if
I
you're
tell
on
I
the
tell
other
a
side.
lot of young
Thank you,
lawyers that
Karina.
want to start their own firm, particularly women. I say, talk to Genie Harrison. If you want to marry passion with what you want to do, talk to somebody that's passionate and done a profession about it. Because I think that's if we all do that, you'd be happy people.
Yeah, I agree.
Be happy people.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think
feel it.
I see the safety. I could absolutely see a client meeting with you and feeling entirely safe.
Yeah.
Or,
And then
or-
knowing you will slit somebody's throat.
well, that's what I was about to say.
yeah. Heart, you know
We got to
she's
get you
gonna
playing
go
Dungeons
after
and
the-
Dragons,
I
Genie. I
agree.
feel like she would. Yeah.
I think conversely, sitting on the other side of the table, I would want to take a lot of breaks. And go, "Ah, look at the time, break
Oh,
time."
actually, that's very. When you're taking like party depos, how often are they like? We got to take a
yeah,
break.
breaks.
There
all
are
the
lots
time.
of breaks
I
that
would
happen.
take lots
Lord.
of breaks.
And you know
yeah.
what? I mean, I'm an aggressive person.
I love
and
it.
so there are times when I play it down because, I'm trying to get people to a certain place.
Yeah.
But I am
a
mostly
safe place.
just aggressive.
Yeah.
And so
That is what you want.
it's
Lull
just
'em in,
my
let them-
personality. So
I'm not surprised.
I'm not everybody's cup of tea.
No, yeah, I could see that.
I'm not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only tea I drink is sweet tea.
Yeah. You're
Too
like
much sugar
you'd be
tea.
like spiked tea. Like angry spiked tea. Yeah. Intimidating spiked tea.
Smile.
With a
With a
smile,
smile.
yeah.
Yeah.
You're always smiling. That's why
I
I like Genie
I
Harrison.
mean,
She's a good
thank you.
person. She's a good people.
I feel
you
the
too.
good energy, yeah. Absolutely.
Thank you. But
feel
I
the
definitely a mama bear, I
Oh, come in
I
with
want
your
I
claw.
definitely want to protect my clients.
Yeah.
And I'm really I get to be really close with my clients. And so that, I feel like I make a difference in their lives. And, usually we remain friends. Karina is a client from long ago,
Wow,
and
very cool.
I stalked her, cyber stalked her,
Wow.
and then said, "Please come work with me."
Speaking, so we're gonna end it. So how do people reach the Genie Harrison? What's your best? Is it a text? Is it an email? Is it a hashtag? Is it a QR?
Yeah,
Can we do
email
QRs
is
also?
easy.
think so.
It's Genie at Genie Harrison Law. Just
Love it. That's easy.
GENIE, like the garage door opener.
Are you a big social media presence? or-
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm on social media
Instagram,
too.
Twitter.
Genie.Harrison.
Okay. Great.
And yeah,
That's the new world. So thank you for coming on. And we have to ask. So since you didn't drink, we have to ask Karina.
Yeah.
What is your bourbon approved? What was your favorite that you had? Knowing that you're a bourbon and whiskey like rye girl, and
Yeah.
we had some very interesting.
You,
They were all
Not.
beautiful,
Yeah.
they all hold up, but I have to say this one is.
Wow, nice.
Gee,
it's a win. It's a winner.
This is really nice.
Shout out to our female master distiller,
Hands down.
master whiskey maker over at
This
Macallan.
is excellent. I'm not a Macallan person. Like I'm not a. It's fine.
Neither am I, but this is.
He gets so mad.
It's fine.
It's fine.
That was so dismissive.
I'm gonna like have you do a taste test between like Jim Beam and Macallan.
I've done lots of taste tests. I will pass it.
No, he gets it every time.
Yeah.
That's why it's the joke.
Yeah.
Because I like to put like people on the spot. People like I know my whiskeys.
Remind me to tell you after my funny taste testing story. It's so great. But I know
Is
we
this
don't
the
have
Jim
time.
Stock story? The Jim
No,
Stock?
it's another one.
Okay.
It's the greatest taste testing whiskey story of all time.
That Genie, thank you for coming on.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you
Yeah.
so
We
much
need.
for
We should
having
do
us
sessions.
here.
We should actually have you do a. You should be a co-host once and just
Yeah.
fucking put people in check.
Yeah.
I would love to be a co-host.
Yeah.
I love asking
Just terrify
questions.
people. Yeah.
I think if we did have Mauro Fiore on a show, that he would be. I think he would behave if Genie heard.
I think he would behave. Yeah. Sit him
I don't know.
right
I think
here.
he might fall asleep. Like he might be like get so scared that he falls asleep.
Well,
You think?
I
anytime.
don't know.
No, I think he'd behave.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Genie. We
Thank
appreciate
you for
it.
having
Cheers.
me.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.